Great, got the message. Thumbs up
Yes.
from clerk.
Yes.
All
You may
right,
start.
great. Thank you. All right, so welcome tonight, Halifax West Community Council's meeting. We're gonna go for a record tonight, see if we can fly through this agenda. So before we start, let's do a quick check of the councilors' audio and video, starting with Councilor Morse.
Here and ready to go. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Mason.
Here in District 7, ready to rumble.
Councilor Cleary.
Here representing the good folks of Halifax West Armdale, although this is the life sculpture in District 7 behind me.
Stay out of my area, Sean.
Councilor Studdard.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's Hey, Councilor Studdard, we can hear you, and Councilor Tuttle, we know you're there as well.
Me and my dog.
Yeah, thank you for that. So moving on to approval of the minutes, March 30th, 2021.
Moved.
Moves.
Moved
Seconds.
by Councilor Mason, second by Councilor Cleary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed? Seeing none. Moving on, approval of the order of business, approval of additions and deletions. And clerk, you have some information there for us.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So there is no addition. However, there are two additions to the agenda. The items originally indicated as 13.1.1, case 19532, and 13.1.2, rezoning lands to urban reserve on Williams Lake, Halifax. Those two items are the additions for today. As these are not ready for Community Council's consideration tonight.
Okay, great, thank you. So again, 13.1.1, case 19532, Part 2, Stage 1 Development Agreement, Maitland Commons Area, Halifax is deleted, and 13.1.2, rezoning land to urban reserve on Williams Lake, Halifax is also deleted for tonight's meeting. So with that, ask for a mover of the agenda.
To adopt the agenda as amended.
Thank you. Moved by Councilor Cleary, second by Councilor Tuttle. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Seeing none. Great. This is arising out of the minutes. Believe there are none. Declaration of conflict of interest. None. Motions of reconsideration, there are none. Motions of rescission, there are none. Consideration of deferred business, none. Those tabled matters, none. So moving on to our hearing, 10.1 public hearing, 10.1.1, case 23274, secondary and backyard suite housekeeping amendments. So this is a public hearing, and the order of events of the hearing will be the same as a regular public hearing. We'll start with staff presentation, and I see Megan popped up, and then we will go on to the public speakers list. And there's no applicants at this time because this is HRM staff initiated. And in order to have signed up to be speaker, the deadline was 4 p.m. the day prior to the hearing. And currently there are no speakers that have registered for this public hearing. So I will pass it off to Megan.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chair, councilors, and members of the public. My name is Megan Dalton with HRM. Tonight, I am presenting on case 23274, housekeeping amendments for secondary and backyard suites. Next slide, please. On September 1st, 2020, Halifax Regional Council approved amendments to the Regional Municipal Planning Strategy and all land use bylaws, except the Regional Center Plan Package A land use bylaw, to allow secondary and backyard suites accessory to single unit, 2-unit, and townhouse dwellings. Next slide, please. As this picture demonstrates, secondary suites are contained within a main building, such as a basement apartment, and backyard suites are contained within an accessory building. I just want to make sure, is the slide moving for you folks? No, okay.
No.
Jill McClellan is helping me with this because we were having issues with presenting.
Yes, it's moving on my slide, so I'm not sure what the issue is.
Mr. Chair, clerk's office can share right now. So I will just ask Jillian to stop sharing and the slides will pop up again.
Sounds good. And from the sounds of it, it sounds like cats also support backyard suites. All right, yeah, I can see it moving now.
Cats
All
don't-
right, we're on slide 3.
Great, thank you.
All right, so as this picture demonstrates, secondary suites are contained within a main building, such as a basement apartment, and backyard suites are contained within an accessory building. Permitting secondary and backyard suites provides an alternative form of housing that adds gentle density, provides rental opportunities for renters and income for homeowners, may be useful for aging parents or adult children, allows people to age in place. It is also in line with the goals from the Housing and Homelessness Partnership's 5-year plan and the HRM Affordable Housing Work Plan, which both speak to removing barriers around the development of secondary and backyard suites. We are here tonight because after these amendments were approved, staff found errors across 11 land use bylaws, 3 of which are in the Halifax and West Community Council area. The errors include typos and missing or incorrect section references. The following errors were found and amendments provided. So as you see here, in the Halifax Peninsula Land Use Bylaw General Provisions, section 4LBVI, the text "and" was included in error and is being removed. Next slide, please. In the Halifax Peninsula Land Use Bylaw, the text "excluding backyard suites" is being added after the reference to a maximum residential gross floor area, because without stating this exception, this provision could prohibit backyard suites. Slide 6. In the Planning District 4 Land Use Bylaw, Part 4, General Provisions for All Zones, Section 4.12b, the incorrect spelling of backyard is being corrected. Slide 7. In the Planning District 4 Land Use Bylaw, Part 4, General Provisions for All Zones, Section 4.19a, Coastal Areas, Subsection 2, the text "does" is being replaced with "do" for proper grammar. Slide 8, in the Planning District 5 Land Use Bylaw, Part 4, General Provisions for All Zones, Section 4.13b, Secondary Suites and Backyard Suites, Subsection B, Backyard Suites, the text "subject" was omitted in error and is being added. Next slide. Correcting these errors will ensure the proper implementation of the secondary and backyard suites policy amendments, and therefore staff recommend that Halifax and West Community Council adopt the proposed amendments to the land use bylaws for Halifax Peninsula, Planning District 4, and Planning District 5 as set out in Attachment B. Next slide. Thank you.
Thank you. Very quick and concise. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. Any questions from members at all?
On that,
Yeah, Councilor Studdard.
on that last slide, I believe you said there was, you said B and I think it was C or the other way around. We might have.
Yes, you are correct. That actually should be Attachment C. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilor Cleary.
So as much as I like Rad's backyard is probably, I have a question. It's related not to the changes, but to backyard and secondary suites. And I don't know if you have this info, it may not be fair to ask you right now. Do you have any idea how many applications have come in so far in the Halifax and West Community Council areas, our 6 districts, for backyard and secondary suites to date since we made the change?
So I will ask Jill McClellan to speak to that. I know she's on the call and she may know the answer to that. I'm not sure.
Through the chair to the councillors, that is information I do have. If you give me a minute or two, I can look that up. But if there are other questions, maybe I can answer this towards the end.
Sure, that'd be great. Thanks, Jill. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. So I'll give Jill some time. Just a quick question. So generally speaking, when we, to get to a place like this, what happens for staff to see these errors? So obviously we passed the backyard suites and went into to policy, et cetera, et cetera. So how do we get to a place where staff, was it legal, planning, was because we had applications come in? that you realize these mistakes? How do we get to a place where realizing the housekeeping amendment?
So through the chair to the chair. So these mistakes were just shown once after, so it was a really extensive amendments package of hundreds of pages. And it was once it was seen by development officers that were actually starting to go through using the land use bylaws that these errors were found. And none of them were super critical, but they needed to be cleaned up.
Okay. Great. And I see Jill's back.
Yes, and through the chair to Councillor Cleary, I can confirm that there's been 14 permits issued for secondary suites since the amendments were approved, and and no backyard suites within the Halifax area.
That's awesome. And any backy rad suites?
No backyard suites, no.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, and thank you, Jill. So, seeing there's nobody else who has questions, moving to the public hearing, and we don't have any speakers, so I don't believe we need to open the public hearing with no speakers. I just want to make sure that I'm correct on that.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great. So we're going to go right on to putting the motion on the floor. So who'd like to put the motion on the floor? All right, Councillor Cottle.
All right. I move that Halifax and West Community Council adopt the proposed amendments to the land use bylaws for Halifax Peninsula, Planning District 4 and Planning District 5, as set out in Attachment C of the staff report dated January 4th, 2021.
Second, Councillor Cleary.
Seconded by, moved by Councillor Cottle, seconded by Councillor Cleary. Thank you. Are there any further comments at all, Councillor?
Nope, but it's good to see these little details that, people are paying attention to details and we're getting it right and moving forward with backyard suites. So let's do it.
Excellent. All right. So just really quickly, last call for questions.
Question on the motion.
Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, thank you. Great job. Thank you, Megan and Jill, for joining us tonight. There's no variance hearings, and is there any correspondence, clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There is no correspondence for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Any petitions from members? No petitions, no presentations. There's no information items brought forward. Our reports have been removed, and we mentioned those at the beginning of the meeting. Are there any motions from members of Halifax West? Seeing none. There's no in-camera items, and there are no added items. So we are at the date of the next meeting, which is April 14th, tomorrow, for a joint special meeting, Halifax West Community Council and Northwest Community Council. And then the next special meeting of Halifax West is April 27th, 2021, and that's also a special meeting. So with that, I will call for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Go adjourn.
Yeah, Councillor Stoddard, thank you so much. Thank you, colleagues and staff. Have a great night.